Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Match 2 coming up very shortly. That is going to be Order taking on Mammoth after Legacy just got the big dub over Gravitas in match number 1 for the evening. Now, let's set our sights on this Order and Mammoth match. Boys, I need you to tell me who's going to win today and why. And Jubes, I'm going to ask you first.
Why are you always going to put it on me first? I don't want to be the bad guy first.
I'll take it first, mate.
Yeah, Skim.
You don't have to be a bad guy. Look, Skimmy, you jump in.
No, because I don't have a filter. I got to say what I'm thinking.
That's a good thing. That's why we have you here, mate. It's not all about your good looks.
You know, the way that I usually do it is, you know, there's me, and then there's Juice, and then there's Skimmy. So I think it just made sense to go that way.
Right.
So you're always in the middle. And that's why you have to be the bad cop first.
Ah, for sure. Nah, well, I'm going to let Skim Dog go. You're going to break this up.
We'll start things up, mate. All right, so we'll do something a little bit different. I think for me, you look at the Mammoth roster and a little bit of disruption in the bottom lane with them swapping out the support between likes of Shinky and Kanade. I think Shyfrit has struggled to really establish himself in the laning phase up against some of these other AD carries. And I think Puma is one that has such a unique champion pool, the biggest champion pool, I think, if memory serves me well, what he's busted out so far in the LCO. And one that I'd imagine is quite hard to really read and sort of get a grasp on. That that when paired alongside what Beats, I think gives them a really, really strong bot lane. But it doesn't get any better from there because you look at the top side of things and Maximize has been quite keen to pop off and have carry potential and showcase that, hey, I can play tanks as well too. And there's been plenty of games where he's been able to showcase his mechanics on that. So I think when you look at a sort of a raw mechanic v mechanic matchup, I think Order should wipe the floor with them. Maybe a run of poor form, but managed to go back on the horse, got a victory up against Gravitas, and no doubt be coming into week 4 here. Looking to continue that momentum.
Well, speaking of men with good mechanics, Jubes, I heard you've got some pretty good mechanics. So let's have a quick look, or deeper look at Mammoth's roster, and you take me through and rate each of these players 0 to 10 in terms of their mechanics.
We will not be doing that.
Okay.
We will not be doing that, okay?
We could,
Nectar
though.
in the top lane, Buggy in the jungle, Way mid lane, Shyfrit and Shinky in the bot lane. You know, this is a roster that I just want to see work towards something in game, right? Let's work towards, you know, whether that be neutral objective control, whether that be a solid laning phase. There's all these like little markers as a team you can work towards that'll then set you up for success. But at the moment, when Mammoth play, it feels like there's no real identity, or there's nothing that week to week where like that's where they're 100% get. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
No reason. Just thought you might have really liked to, you know, get on the end of that fishing rod, you know, take the hook, take the bait.
I don't take baits. Hey, I don't take baits. You know what? I've been set up to fail here, and I think I've passed with flying colours.
It's just us two looking at him like, go on, mate.
Flying colours.
Yeah. Well, you did a great job to avoid that one. Now, Skimmy, your
Boeing
turn to rate them 0 to 10. This time it's Order, and this time you're going to rate them in the looks department because we know that you love to look at these fellas.
The Calvin Klein models, Mac. I mean, these guys, they're just smurfing on that photo shoot, clearly getting it done. They got the looks. They've got the player that reps the sponsor. I mean, it's like when you see those people have the name changes for like unlimited food at a certain restaurant. I mean, that is this next level dedication and scouting ability done here by Order. So this is a team that I'm really excited for. I think they continue to be that dark horse that have. Sure, they're in 5th at the moment, but I think they can definitely, as the weeks go by, continue to challenge and break themselves into that conversation of, 2nd spot not being safe. Yeah, as I said before, a few rough results, but they've got the fundamentals down, and I really like the fact that, Beats is such a versatile player. We heard it from their coaching interview last week that, because he's moved into so many different roles, he has such a core understanding or core fundamental of, every lane and sort of what we should be doing at any given moment. So not afraid to bust out champions like the Blitzcrank and had a really good game.
Hopefully we get to see a bit more Blitzcrank, or maybe even, just lots of hooks. Love the hooks. Always sets up for some very good early game engagements. But look, this game, we get a pre-game interview, and to do that, we have Nat down on the side lanes again. So let's bring Nat in. Nat, let us know, who do you have there with you?
I am joined by Buggy and Beats. Hi guys, how are you? Welcome, thank you for joining me. I think it's actually the first time I'm interviewing both of you, so welcome to the LCO broadcast. Buggy, I want to ask you first up, it's been a little rough for you guys over at Mammoth. but Order has been, look, not as confident as they were at the start. So how are you guys feeling coming into this matchup, and how likely do you think a win is for you?
Yeah, so obviously, if everyone's playing like a competitive game, you always have to have a confidence that you can win to play at a great level. And obviously, coming into this, we do believe we can win, and we have a lot of things that we can show going into the match today.
Will the things you'll be showing be more towards the draft, or have you guys just had a lot of practice about your playstyle?
I think a mix of both. Obviously, we do have a draft prepared, and we do have some strategies going into the game that we'll work towards to help us get the win today, but we'll see how it goes.
I am looking forward to it. But Beats, again, I just kind of mentioned it briefly then. You guys have been struggling a little bit on the confidence, even though you guys are coming out with wins. It feels like you're not really happy with your performance. So do you think this is going to be, if you guys win, a game that gives you that confidence back?
Probably not. I think a confidence boost would be like if we beat Chiefs or Peace this week or next week.
Well, look, I mean, it's still very much on the cards. What sort of prep have you been doing then coming into this game with Mammoth?
I don't think we prepped that much this week. So yeah, it's just
Was
probably
it
be
a lot
what
of...
we played similar like last week.
Okay,
probably.
so it's
I don't
just...
think much will
yeah.
change.
Okay, well, that'll be very interesting to see. I wish you both the best of luck, and I'm very excited to see how it plays out.
Cheers.
Thank you.
So I just have one question about that interview. I've got some pretty thick glass on my glasses. I couldn't tell if Beats is wearing double glasses or his eyes are worse than mine, which I've never met a person with eyes that have been worse than mine. So what are your thoughts on that, Nat? Was it just the thick glass?
He sees the future, Mac.
I love that. It could have just been reflection from like the lighting as well, though, making them look hella
true.
thick.
Well, I guess that's something that we can check in with Beats another time, or I can just check with him on Twitter. But look, we didn't get to do this for the first game. Let's have a quick look at our predictions for match number 2 of the day. And I believe this is the one of the 2 matches where we have a clean sweep. Everyone's gone for Order in this one, and then later on, I believe there's another clean sweep as well. So let's just have a look at how everyone's doing. Jubes, you're still on top, I believe, with 29-4. Any words you want to say to your fans out there?
Oh, the big dog's running away with it, plain and simple. I'll tell you, when I said I know Oceanic League of Legends, I know Oceanic League of Legends. That's the only thing I know. I actually go to work and I get in trouble because that's all I do. So that's a fun fact for you. If I'm ever sacked, I have the LCO to blame for it.
Well, at least, you're getting paid here, so you can have that as a fallback.
I don't get paid at work. It's a passion project at work, for sure.
Volunteer work,
I just
bro.
go there
9
and say,
to 5.
don't pay me. I'm here because it's part of my passion.
Yes.
You're getting people back on their feet, of course. Now, Skimmy, you're not far behind him on 26-7. Are you expecting a comeback throughout this second half of the split?
Hard to say, Matt, because sometimes you just got to throw out predictions and, just if the wind is blowing a certain direction that day, you think maybe there's something in the air, maybe a little bit of success floating in somebody's direction that could cause an upset. Sometimes you have to take those little risks in life, and, maybe I've done that one too many times. That's, why Juice is in the middle, because we refer to him, we all look inwards to see what his guidance is. Look, I think Order should take the victory here, but look, I'd love to be held in the same conversation as Jubes as being Big Brain. One day.
Look, and Nat, of course, her whole goal this season is just to beat Elfish Guy, because Elfish Guy keeps acting like he's king shit on the show.
Ask her how she ended up with her prediction.
Yes. I was going to avoid that, but okay.
No, we can ask.
Okay, I'll be so obvious. Yes, my goal is to beat Jordan, and unfortunately we have the same predictions. But I came to, the choices that I made today with my predictions by going through a lot of VODs and just realizing that Jubes is always right. So I just asked production to give me whatever Jubes would say.
That's the easy way in. Well,
You'll copy paste.
At least something that you can't copy and paste is your genetics. Now, let's have a look at Esports Assessment Labs, because I know, Nat, you're going to be testing out your reaction time, your cognitive ability, all the good stuff over on Esports Assessment Labs while you're down on the side lanes, as well as watching the game, because, you're very good at multitasking, something that I'm terrible at. And that's just it. I still need to do mine to see if I can get that 99% was it concentration that Skimmy managed to get? Was it 99?
Oh, it
or
was
was it-
attention. Yeah, I
Attention,
got like
yeah.
90. I
Attention.
think it was like 95 attention, and every other stat's just in the bin. So I guess I can look at things for a play-by-play. But if you ask me to like move from A to B, I'll just get lost, mate.
Well, there you go. It's a good place to be. Anyway, that takes us into Champ Select. So, boys, take us away.
Thank you very much there, Mac. Well, let's jump into this one and figure out if our predictions are right, or if Memeth have something up their sleeve. You heard it there from Buggy before that, hey, we've been practicing, we've been prepping, we've got something that we're ready to showcase. And I suppose, Juves, it's not too far-fetched to believe that, right? Because we have seen from a few of their games that they're quite willing to bust out things that are, you know, quote-unquote anti-meta. You know, the mid-Talon, the Dr. Mundo in the jungle, the composition where we had, you know, the Nocturne, as well as the Fiddle to try and cause all kind of headaches. So if there was a game to try and cause an upset and say, look, the run is still on for us to make playoffs, I would love to see it here.
Yeah, this has to be almost like a do or die game, right? Because you look at, like, in terms of skill disparity, right? It's not too far out of, you know, the realm of possibility. You start to think, okay, this is the game they need to win, and this is likely going to be the team they need to overtake if they're going to make a late playoff surge. So, you know, going through the bands that we're used to seeing, especially in OS in particular, right? You know, the Yone and the Nocturne bands, they're definitely, at times, bands that just get taken away in the first three. And Seraphine being picked up is what I like to see, because it is probably the most broken champ in the game at the moment in terms of the flexibility, in terms of where you can play it, and just in essence what it offers. The ultimate is just a little bit too wild for a 5v5 department.
Oh, it just does so much, right? I mean, why would you ever play Sona where you can play Seraphine? Because it just does so much more. Would love to see them flex that into the bottom lane and still give Wei the agency to play a hard carry and look to, you know, do what he does best. But what that does mean, if you allow the Seraphine through and you've gone this direction with these other sort of niche bands towards particular members, Tristana, another one of those insanely strong, powerful go-to flexible champions, running out of descriptive words. But, you know, Tristana, once again, she does it all right. Insane flex, but just insane damage for structure and anti-dive.
Well, the way I look at drafts is, like, obviously there's going to be power picks, and there's going to be champions that you just need to take because they're so strong and they go in one role in particular. But when they're not on the board, or when you're not, there's no threat of that, or you're not worried about something that they can pick, the next best thing to do is just pick flexes, because ultimately you're giving another problem for the enemy team to think about.
Yeah.
And so in this case, it's where's the Seraphine going? Obviously, when you go and lock Thresh in the second phase like that, it starts to, you know, take away the possibility of it being a flex, although we have seen it put in the 80 carry position. But the same with the Tristana and the Gragas, right? Tristana particularly can go mid lane, can go 80 carry. Gragas can go top lane, can go jungle, can go support as well.
Yep.
So if you're already looking at Order's draft, whilst we do think the Seraphine being a very big power pick, Order's draft is the biggest curveball, because
For sure.
you know, there's just too many possibilities so far. And it's just really hard to draft against something like that, because it really limits the champions you can put mid lane, because Tristana is quite, you know, a bully in terms of the early laning phase, but then scales so well as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just has how the draft works, right? You're just going to have to make a blind pick at some stage, and they've decided to go for what is essentially a stable pick in the Scion. We've seen that it can now be flexed into the mid lane, so whether or not Wei decides to be the person that does deploy that in that lane, we'll get to find out in not too long. But the Karthus, don't see too many Karthus games. For a lot of these teams, it was banned away. Zeus, one of the connoisseurs of the Karthus, but it has been banned a fair bit.
Yeah, and Karthus is one thing that I wanted to bring up. I think we don't see it at all, really, in many regions. But I think Karthus is in a position now where he is quite strong. And I think that it does take a lot of games to get used to the playstyle and how to play Karthus. And in particularly in a competitive setting, you are sometimes resource starved as a jungler. But if you manage to get away with it, and Order is that team where they do have a heavy emphasis on their jungler, Vengeance is a player who does get a lot of the resources, then I think Karthus is a very good pick. And you know, they've banned away the Mundo, they've banned away the Lilia, they've banned away the Hecarim. And so what does Buggy opt in for now? Because there's really no bad Karthus matchup up. And I don't even think necessarily that there's a bad Karthus matchup. It comes down to a mind game of how you pass. So I'm super excited to see Karthus, and I think it's an underutilized pick, particularly in our region where there's so many skirmishes and so many team fights. You'll be able to pick up many kills with the Karthus ultimate.
Oh, for sure, right? And much in the same vein that I suppose you bring up Sion and his discussion of, you know, going for fights and guaranteeing the afterlife to continue that one. Same could be said for the Karthus, right? The fact is, if you're looking at playing those choke points, if you're looking to really put an emphasis on the likes of a Herald, Dragon, or Baron, that's when Karthus really pops off and can swing the the tides of war, I suppose, more than anything, right? There've been countless times where the Skittles go out and the damage comes on through, and suddenly a fight that you're losing, you've salvaged the double kill.
And that's what happens when you get accelerated on Karthus. It's if you ever get accelerated, then you're in a position where even if you die, you're still going to win a team fight. But the other thing too, Skimmy, I wanted to touch on is that the Aatrox even still becomes a flex. We saw it in the LCK again. Chovy did it, so it may not mean much because Chovy can do whatever he wants. But he played Predator mid Aatrox. And he played it to some very good success and had some very big team fight impacts. Now, whether Chungy's been working on that, Chungy has said Chovy's the player that he watches and Chovy's the player that he aspires to be like. So we keep our eyes on whether he takes the Aatrox. And, you know, it isn't a bad 2v2 by any means if you have the Aatrox mid as with the Karthus, but with the Vayne Hover, I think we know where the Tristana's going.
Yeah, and I suppose also in that same conversation is what timeline are we in here, Drew, is when you're looking to pick up a Kaiser and B5. The fact that that's gone all the way through and it's a case of, no, we're not going to go for these powerful champions. Sure, we're going to lock in a couple in the first rotation, but apart from that, it's all about flexibility and making sure that your ability to understand this draft becomes as scuffed as possible. Vayne comes on through. You'd love to see that be the Puma, showcasing what he can do on that champion, one of the only players in the region that will play it confidently on stage, and always a treat to see.
And the one thing that we didn't mention when I said that there's no Karthus counters available is that Kayn in itself isn't a Karthus counter, but if Kayn can get an early blue form, then Karthus can't play the game because you're just permanently getting assassinated, and you're passive when you're dead. You don't have enough damage and you can't do it quick enough to kill the Kayn because Kayn's so mobile on the blue form, is able to get in and out.
Yep.
But I think it is actually a very good Kayn game. There's 3 AD carries or 2 AD carries and 1 squishy jungler that you have the option of assassinating. And if Buggy can find his form early or get himself, very far ahead, he might be able to, wreak havoc in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, whenever I think of a Kayn, you're looking to try and fight as quickly as possible to get that passive up and get it into that form.
Well,
and I'm looking at the sort of 2 different compositions, one with a Sign and one with a Karthus that want to fight, right? Want to fight with those objectives. So we might see a very brawler-centric early game to try and fund that.
And you want to fight early, but you also want to fight range champions early, right? Because you want to be able to get the blue form upgrade as opposed to, just hitting a melee range champ. Then you got to wait an extra 2-3 minutes for your form upgrade. So again, both these compositions, I really don't mind for the teams that are playing them, right? Like, this is a very order composition, if you ask me.
Sure.
Chungy really popularized AD carries in the OCS last year when we were casting that, Skimmy, right? He was able to play the things like Kaiser mid, which, again, didn't see any international play, but for him, it just screams comfort when he locks in something like the Tristana. Obviously, Puma on the Vayne made his name on that champion, a few weeks ago in the LCO. Beats playing whatever he really wants to play. That's how flexible he is. Yeah. And this top side of order is just screams comfort too. But the one kind of curveball that I see in this whole draft and all these composition Skimmy is way on the Seraphine, because Seraphine isn't a 1v9 champion in terms of damage, but can have such a significant impact in the game through utility and CC.
I'm really keen to see how they can actually try and unlock Way and how they can sort of get this Seraphine roaming the map to cause all kind of headaches and turn fights in their favor. But as we load into the Rift, we load into a coaching interviews. We get to check in with Mammoth's Sally, and welcome, Sally, as we jump into this one. I was really keen to hear your thoughts and feelings coming into this one. Obviously, a lot of curveballs thrown by Order of all the flexible champions. From a more general abstract point of view, how difficult is it in this current meta when there are that many options to draft up against it?
It can be difficult, but a lot of it's based on picking our comfort, and we know where their champs can go, right? So we just need to think about our matchups a little bit more in depth.
And talk to me a little bit about those matchups, right? We're seeing the fact that Way now switching from the hard carries and going onto the Seraphine, a champion that we know is, I suppose you can almost date your mind back to the likes of Karma mid, plenty of utility, plenty of ability to, pop off and accelerate the rest of the lane. Is that a conscious decision of, look, we're going to try and change things around here. We've also got the double jungle flex that we can between Jungleman and Buggy. Let's try something different and make it a very much a do-or-die situation if we're still looking to make playoffs.
Well, it's just that Seraphine's a really good champ, and if we are picking at 1P, it has to be able to go in several places, right? So in this draft, it looked the best going mid, so that's why it's mid, Yeah,
no, I'm excited to see that, and no doubt we'll get to see how it goes up into this Tristana. And talk to me a little bit about some of the off-meta picks. I mean, we talk about the fact that some of these players have unique champions, the likes of Puma on his Vayne. Is there any extra practice that has to go into it, knowing that maybe in scrims you're versing the same champions, whatever is strong, top 3 in each role? Are there any additional steps that go into practice for a particular team to say, hey, if they throw us this curveball, we need to instantly know how to pivot?
It comes down to adaptation on the day, actually. We don't see a lot of Vayne in scrims, but we know how the matchup's meant to go bot lane, so it's just on us to execute it.
And I wish you the best of luck in that one as well. But my final question would be, coming into this one win on the board so far. What would success look like here in this match tonight?
We really want Arcane to be able to accelerate and carry this game. I think he's got all the tools to do it, so it's really on Buggy. And I have trust that Buggy can do it. It's going to be a mammoth win.
I believe. And Juice,
Like
anything on your end?
No, well, I actually was just going to echo the sentiment that I agree. They have set up Buggy for success, but if you will, Sally, what have you guys been working on? Obviously, don't go into intricacies, but are you saying is it a confidence thing to just say, okay, we just need to win some games, or have you set parameters in this game that that then becomes a success even if you don't get the result?
Well, we didn't get scrims this week, truthfully, so we wanted to be on comfort for our players.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I mean, that happens. That's rough sometimes. We've all been there. I'll tell you what, I've had a few weeks where I haven't got scrims. But let's talk. Let's get a question about you. What's it been like moving into the coaching role? How have you actually found that? We haven't heard from many coaches in terms of that have transitioned into coaching, and what's it been like coaching a roster, especially a rookie one?
It's been interesting. I've enjoyed it. It's been pretty hard to come from being, a OCS player to coaching in this league, especially with some of the players around. So everyone's learning day by day, me especially. But it's been good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we wish you the best of luck this game, and we think you've done a very good job in the draft to set your team up for success.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Juice, a fair bit of action as we did a small delay there. I got word from producer that was a small FPS lag issue. It appears to be resolved, and we're back into the game, and no first blood, no crazy invade that we missed out just yet. We did see a little bit of shenanigans there on towards Vengeance, but managed to get away. Did not fall on down as a beautiful trade comes across here from Mammoth. They hit level 2 first and destroy.
Yeah, I love that from the Mammoth bot lane, and they're just playing their matchup well. Vayne Gragas doesn't really have any business getting level 2 prio first, especially into the double range matchup of, the Kai'Sa and the Thresh. So I like when I see players play the matchup accordingly, how it should play out. So many times in the LCO, or just in a lot of regions, matchups don't get played out how they're meant to. And now you, all of a sudden, right, level 1, the game starts. And now they have an advantage in a lane in which can be quite volatile. So I want to see Shyfrit and Shinky get a little bit of resources down there when they can, because they've done a good job so far.
Certainly have. We'll have to keep tabs on how that continues in their favor, knowing that Vayne is rather short-ranged and can be punished quite convincingly in such regard, whereas Beats will be no doubt wanting to go forward, hit the body slams, and guarantee some huge level 6 impact. Plenty of sustain, obviously, with his passive to get through all these trades that work up against him. So almost a hybrid engage / enchanter with what he brings to the table. As we now check in with the top side of the map. And one thing I suppose interested me there from Sally was the fact that we are talking about comfort. As much as there's comfort for Mammoth, there's a whole bunch of it here for Order. So you can see from the Twitch predictions, they agree, and 84% feel like this is an Order dub.
Yeah, but actually I was going to say something about predictions, then I realized I predicted Order to win. So I couldn't really say anything without curveballing myself there. So
the 180 on stream, you'd have had people timestamping you and threatening your DMs, calling you out, eh? But regardless,
the first time.
Regardless, there is the first crab gets picked up here on the bottom side as there's a bit of pressure from Shinky to try and make Vengeance's life a little bit more difficult. Top crab still uncontested and nobody poking their head in just yet as Buggy decides, well, we're not going to win the bottom half of this map, so it's time for me to investigate. And I suppose that is really what we're keeping our eyes on, at least for this early portion of the match, right? Where does Buggy go and how quickly can he level up?
Well, the thing about Kayn is Kayn actually does clear jungle really fast. And Kayn won't really have a problem necessarily matching farm with the Karthus. It's just that while Kane doesn't have form, Kane's going to be far less useful in skirmishes and 2v2s. How Kane wants to pilot the game in the early game is really just avoid the 2v2s. You want to be going for the 2v1s, and even if you're not able to get a kill, if it's just the summoner burn, those trades are worth because you're going to be getting that much closer to your form. So Kane does have a different type of playstyle, if you will. You know, as opposed to, you know, the Karthus at this point in the game isn't going to be really mind running into the Kane. And we might actually see something here, Aaron.
He may have just caught him there.
Yeah.
As there will be vision. Buggy dropped the ward before he departed from that part of the map, so we'll have a bit of an idea as to how Order are playing around the top half of this map. As you can see, Chungy, having pushed that wave on out, was considering maybe poking his head into top river, but no need at this stage of the game. It's all about keeping to your heart's content, and I think that's really going to be what we're going to see here, especially now that both bot laners have picked up the Cold Blade, just looking to get as much farm under their belt, hit that 1 Empire Spike, and then say, all right, time to come online.
Yeah. And interestingly, the Kane is actually ahead tempo and ahead jungle camps on the Karthus. So again, this is what we talk about being such a fast clearer. And level 6 first in jungle matchup, I think, is a very underrated stat, right? We talk about jungle just being kind of a do whatever type role, in the sense that it all comes down to the early game, how you gank, how you pressure lanes. But in these particular matchups, if you're able to get level 6 first, you then just contest the second spawn of the buff. And then, you know, if you play it correctly, it should just be a fight one for you, as well as a buff contest then.
There's a buff contest, and there's a 2v1 angle, and that's what you wanted to see, and that's what we will get. Full stack the ultimate here, the world ender from Maximize, who felt like maybe his world was in danger.
Yeah.
But we'll have that damage to see us quite officially under turret now.
And I don't really like that from Buggy, because you lose the dragon, which it's not the end of the world for sure, but you also could have lost your bot jungle camp, right? Like, Karthus took the Raptors. Karthus, now for going back into bot side camps, he's going to be well and truly on the way to level 6 because of the dragon EXP as well. And if Vengeance had a better idea, which he should have, of where Kane was, he could have taken away the red buff too with the priority that he has in mid lane, right? You see Tristana just dipping his head into there. So that could be a buff and 2 camps taken, but I think Vengeance is a little bit maybe lazy with his jungle path.
A little bit lazy, maybe a little bit apprehensive, not wanting to take any unnecessary risks at this stage of the game. And, well, you know, at the end of the day, we'll go for the safe play. Nets themselves a dragon because of the vision from Kane having revealed himself top side. But small margins at this stage of the game. Let's separate these two teams. Small CS leads found in the top half as well as in the AD carry position. And it continues his narrative as to where does Buggy go, how many of these 2v1s can he find, and what will we see as a result? First blood, it's just too easy. Puma finds it, condemned against the wall, and condemned to be their first kill.
You gotta wonder how that happens there, right? Shouldn't be standing against that wall, obviously, in hindsight, against the Vayne, but they had the lane in such a position where they were in control. You know, they had summoner spell advantage for a majority of the early laning phase, and to just get caught like that, it's just a lot of good work that's just been undone. And Vayne's the one that picks up that kill on a Cullen.
Oh, no.
Oh,
He's just gone in and phase checked and hit him with a double kill and said, have this, why not? Out comes the Karthus ult, and, well, Requiem just gets grief. Vengeance thinking, why on earth did I pop that one? But
yeah,
Puma,
I mean, miscommunication.
He went for the recall and then got gifted a second.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have words for that. I'll be honest with you. That was very questionable.
It's worth noting also that he's running the exhaust as opposed to the heal, so double aggressive traits here, making it very easy for him to look for those 1v1 duels later on into this life. But let's see how things start off, right? So the fact is, Shinky that steps on up, a Condemn comes out, just a little bit too aggressive for that trade. Flash, body stand, that'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's very good communication from Beats and Puma, but I mean, it's a good punish, but it's also, yeah, it's a good punish. We'll leave it at that.
We will leave it at that before you get tilted beyond the lead.
Nah, I mean, it's like ego stepping in lane, right? Like your wave's nearly on the tower, you're farming, and your ego stepping up in lane, trying to dictate and create like pressure through your movements. But there's no pressure to be had in that scenario, right? Like you have a full minion wave. I'm gonna cut myself off here because there's definitely going to be a contest.
Looking to be the case. Explosive Cask is there. They're going to zone them out very early on as the Herald's down to 600. Smite's already gone and out. Encore into 2, looking to knock them up. This is Mammoth looking to try and find a fight that they may win. It's a 3v4. Okay. They'll find one, but they trade it across to Chuggy, who picks up a kill. Might look to try and find a second kill as well. Forget the Herald. We want blood. We'll find bloods. Maybe, just maybe, going for the Scion is a little bit too much.
I bet your Carter's wishes he had ultimate here in this scenario, so opportunity goes begging. Mammoth did pick up the Rift Herald, so that is a net positive if you're trying to find one in that scenario. It was a 1-for-1 plus the Rift Herald goes down, and it is definitely an early one to be placed too. Valuing the gold onto Shyfrit as opposed to, you know, holding it for a scenario in which they'll be able to break turret. So
it'd be great
quite a few plates go down there. Yeah,
able to sneak that one in, as you say. Gold going in all the right directions and looking to try and equalize what was a bit of a rough situation in the bot 2v2. Now gold back into the pockets of the Kaiser power play, which we've seen what it can do, and no doubt with the resources there, will continue to do so.
I'm not sure what luxury we have in terms of Kane form and how far away it is. Is there a way that we can suss that one out? I don't think we can.
I think the observers have smurfed before in the past. Not to throw them under the bus. Maybe they
no,
can
but I'm not
again.
even sure if it's a thing that you can see.
Can spectatorship? I don't actually know. It's a good point.
Yeah, anyway, you live and you learn.
You do. Learning on stream. Here we go.
Yep.
Educational stream, by the way.
Educational, we learn together, Bob Ross style. A few strokes here and there on the paintbrush.
That's the way.
Nice relaxing voice, use some colors.
A masterpiece.
Yep. And the masterpiece is, at the moment, that of Order, with how they're playing this early game out.
Certainly is. 11 minutes into this one, they find themselves up 1,500. Quite happy with how this laning phase has been going. And the initial fact that they were able to pick up that dragon, quite honestly, sneak it in with vision and confidence based on the reveal that Buggy had made to maybe get a little bit too over-eager for those 1v2s to find that form. But regardless, they'll take that.
I wanted to touch on, before, you know, all the chaos kind of transpired, that Wei's doing a pretty good job to remain even in this matchup in terms of CS, right? You know, we do find Seraphines fall down slightly in CS because in most of the matchups that Seraphine's given, she gets outranged. Like, it's normally responded to within a Azir or things of that nature. You know, Tristana being the type of champion that does have the kill threat, particularly early on, because, yeah, we talk about Tristana being a scaling champion, but you look at instances like that, are you able to just rocket jump on top and...
There is the rocket jump, and there's the encore as well. Oh, it's just not enough. Requiem saves the day. This time there's no miscommunication, and this time it finds its killing blow. Maximize actually might be looking to find a killing blow himself as well as Nectar. It feels like every time we popped our head into top lane, he's always flirting with danger, very low. And Maximize, if you can't get the kill, at least he'll zone him away.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes that's basically a kill in terms of plates and minion waves that he's going to lose. And that's the trap a lot of inexperienced players or players that really want to make a name for themselves fall into. They often get the lead, the HP advantage, the reset advantage, and they'll try and push tower dive or go for the kill, go for the turret plates, and ultimately that will be their demise. But Maximize did a very good job there, letting him reset, picking up turret plates, denying minion waves, and all of a sudden the CS lead that he has is a kill anyway.
Certainly is. I'm looking at Deja Vu, flash, body slam, hit the condemn. The carving is so damn beautiful. Exhausted doesn't matter, he was in one auto attack range. Depleted or not, it would have been enough. That goes to Killer Instinct, and Nella is just looking to flirt with their food. They find the shutdown. Kaiser finding retribution for the shenanigans of yesteryear. And a Void Seeker, he's just there to remind him, don't come back bot lane again.
I mean, that's a huge shutdown onto Kaiser, if you're being completely honest. So you have to say that is worth it. But in the same side of the coin, Wei TP's in, maybe it wasn't needed, well, definitely wasn't needed in that instance. And when you leave lane versus a Tristana, and hold that thought because there's a teleport bot lane.
Well, here comes the Tristana, jumps in his head with a fully stacked explosive charge and says, good night, sweet dreams.
I love the Tristana double jump. It just looks so troll when you're doing 2 jumps on someone's head, no?
Feels like Kazak's PTSD all over again, right? Getting resets and just leapfrogging around.
I don't have that because I was the Kazakhs player, so.
That's true.
Yeah, but
you were enjoying.
The one thing I wanted to say was when Wei left lane is when you're making that decision to roam as Wei in that teleport, you have to make sure it's a gain because you will lose at minimum 2 turret plates versus a Tristana. Tristana, one of the quickest turret takers in the game. And we see that there. Look at the turret. That's from 1 PP. And goes in here.
So he does go in. Whether or not he wants to go in is another decision, because as soon as he jumps on out from that invulnerability status, Cask into Puma's range, and one final ultimate shot will guarantee that he falls on down.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like a little bit of a reach play that was a little unnecessary. Sometimes you're forced into those plays though, right?
Yeah.
You're feeling the pressure of the game, and it feels like an impending doom. You look at the scaling on the side of order, you know, the Tristana, the Vayne, the Karthus, and whilst you still have the Kai'Sa and the Seraphine, you really do feel like you're on a timer, and
But
that
the
kind
game's
of felt
getting
like
away from you.
Yeah, and that kind of felt like the play Buggy made there. So, thought Shyfruit was going to stay for the turret.
Wouldn't surprise me. They've definitely spent a fair bit of time in this mid-wave trying to stabilize and equalize more than anything what Chang'i's Tristana's able to output. And I suppose if we bring it back to that same point again, right? You know, if you are going to make that conscious trade, you've got to always be aware that, hey, well, this is my laning partner, and if we don't find a kill, we're just going to lose so much from this one, and it goes from bad to worse. But regardless, first target of the game will go in favor of Order. Both quite crippled. Eventually at 10%, it will fall on down.
And Skimmy, just to touch on that point, it's not even the kill. The kill doesn't become worth it, right? It has to be the kill and more. It has to be kill and an objective, or the turret. In those instances, right, you know, the teleport away, all of a sudden you lose your mid-turret. And Beats might be caught. Good play.
That's a really good play there for Mammoth right there. Absolutely. The combination coming together with all 4 members getting themselves on that score sheet. Gold going across in all the right places. And really making sure that he cannot juke and drive out of that one. But he can juke and drive out of the encore, but he can't dodge that one. Out goes the death sentence, and that is pretty much exactly what you wanted to see.
Yeah, you love to see it, and Dragon spawning in what is 35 seconds, so Order bot lane will be up, will be available, and it's one of those awkward scenarios where the pick's great, the turret's great, but ultimately you're going to lose third Dragon now, right? You can't contest with the amount of ultimates that you're down.
Yeah.
And so it's like a double-edged sword, right? Maybe we should have waited slightly longer, but obviously that play is just worth it in terms of net gold, but all of a sudden you're potentially going to be on soul point in the next 15 seconds.
I think it would have been a little bit rough either way, right? Given the fact that Vengeance has Herald, you probably see your standard deployment of something at mid to bait out attention and, you know, guarantee that they have the response. So they might not be too upset. We'll have to wait and see. Find obviously 2 kills and a turret to equalize, so...
I do believe he's got form now as well, by the way, blue form.
See if
it's just the skin.
pop off.
Yeah, once you see like Kayn being able to move with the W, as well as the noise as Kayn travels through a wall, that's the giveaway that he's got form. Obviously the appearance too, but if you can't tell. So soul point now, Skimmy.
So he is. That man again, big beats.
Yeah. Vayne, hook lands.
Well, it does land as Puma receives the exhaust right there, gets hit by the max range empowered E, and Seraphine trying to play some bangers, but unfortunately the crowd does not go wild and they're able to disengage and go back home packing. Now we find ourselves in a full 5v5 in the mid lane, and Chang'i's got out of position. He has flash, has to use Buster Shot. He's going to hold on to it as long as possible. Flashing, just not enough. Shyfruit gets the assassination there with the Killer Instinct.
Mammoth.
Finds 1, finds 2. This is a fight that's actually working in Mammoth's favor. Forget the Dragon, we'll just get the kills instead. Here comes the retribution. That is the power of Karthus from the afterlife. He puts that pressure. And well, now it's just a battle of bruises, 1v1.
Yeah, this probably is going to take a while, Skimmy, so if you want to have a chat, we can have a chat, because we'll be here for a couple of days. Wait, he actually... Yeah, okay.
Oh, no!
Optimistic, to say the least.
I
Your
like
respect.
beats him
What
okay,
do we do?
on point.
A for effort, is it?
A for effort. It's
So-
for sad.
That actually looked like a really good team fight from Mammoth.
Yeah.
And the Karthus ultimate and sitting on top of the Karthus passive was the game changer, right? It was that the instance that turned the fight. But we can see how Mammoth's composition functions into orders. You know, the Kayn, although not being ahead, is able to just assassinate targets. Kai'Sa very strong on the back end too. And it's almost just disappointing if you're from the Mammoth roster that you weren't able to get out of laning phase on an even footing.
I mean, you raised some good points, right? The fact is, they'll be looking at this fight and going, look at the amount of pressure we're able to put into our opposition. Yes, we're fighting in close quarter combat, and it works for us, but it works for them too. But look how we start this fight off. We're putting so much pressure onto Chang'i, who's just immediately taking out the fight.
Yeah, and Karthus is just sitting here, throwing max range Qs. Goes down, but Shyfruit, once he makes that decision to finish off the Karthus, he's going down as well, and Maximize is just untouched, and he's pretty much been untouched all game. So now he's turning into a little bit of a raid boss.
Yeah, certainly is. And, you know, Requiem really was the kill secure more than anything. There are no survivors. You cannot run back. Every man will participate, and every man will fall on down for their team's colors. But 20 minutes into this one, and yeah, despite Order having a lead, up by 3k, soon to be 4, with the two teams' economy. Definitely feels like Mammoth have got some fight left in their tank, right? And they're going to have to try and find as much of that power in the next 2.5 minutes as they get themselves ready for this Soul Point. Here's a side lane angle, and there's a side lane collapse. Chungy just taken off.
Yeah, and again, very nice pick there from Mammoth. And this is exactly what we talk about, right? Being able to get this pick, also take the objective, and not die somewhere else on the map. So Mammoth so far doing a very good job in staying safe in the, you know, the other 2 lanes, while they're able to get, you know, some gold back in the top side of the map. Now, the one thing that Order are just playing for, and again, they don't mind losing that objective top side, is the Soul Point.
Yeah.
1 minute and 55 seconds until the Ocean Soul, arguably the best soul in the game. You know, most teams will be happy with taking that one for sure. So they're just biding their time, happy to wait that one out, and happy to play a traditional front to back with their double 80 carry composition, and almost using Karthus as a peel kit, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't mind if Karthus falls down. Your 80 carries, all they have to do is fight on the body, and there's going to be so much damage coming out of that Liandry's that it's going to be just almost impossible for Mammoth to fight through. So what Mammoth need to do is just find the pick onto Karthus or a crucial member before the Dragon fight when they've got set up, and you know they have the tools to do that. So 1 minute till it spawns.
Interesting to see them. With that all in mind, how they do decide to set things up for that potential pick angle or for that advantageous team fight win that allows them to buy a little bit of extra time and not fall victim to the Soul Point bait. That can be a team's worst nightmare as it snowballs into Barons and gold leads beyond belief. So we'll see if they can find themselves some vision. As you can see on the map right now, all grouped up as 4. And quite keen to set up a trap.
Yeah, and they have to. I think Mammoth are actually playing this game well in the sense that they know how they need to win. They've identified their win con. Interesting for me, though, Order's given up on the Dragon. They've said, you know what, we'll just flip the Baron. We'll make them come to Baron. Now, this can work in their favor, or it can be their demise, because Baron does act as an opposition member. So keep your eyes on this fight here.
Certainly does. It's a 50-50. Can they go for the smite still? It's getting lower and lower, though. Kill secure, and Baron is there. Now a 5v5 will take place. What can they do with this one? Is the power enough to guarantee that gold lead, XP lead, and Baron buff all on top of things?
Scion
can
Corpse.
get them those kills. Scion punching on, but it's a shutdown across. Out comes a Requiem. The man's still alive, but only by a thread. And as he falls on down, it's all about these AD carries, all about what they can do. Flirting with danger, flirting with death. Puma surviving on 10%, life stealing off a ward more than anything, which is crazier to say. But Maximize, you talked about it before. He has been untouched, and he remains untouched.
Yeah, he does remain untouched in that team fight. And it is a good team fight from Order, but not perfect, right? You have to think little bit of a rushed objective. They were in control of that game. Nice contest from Mammoth, and it's never clean when it turns into a smite fight, right? Even though they win that fight, it is a little bit of a coin flip, and Vengeance nerves held true. Obviously, having that EXP lead in the jungle does help as well, but off the back end, so we see the Baron goes down to like 200 health before Vengeance steals it, so really well done. But watch Maximize on the front end here. Their composition doesn't deal with, you know, high health targets very well. You could even say here, Maximize misplays a little bit, hops over the wall, doesn't need to, leaves his team on the back end, but Puma and Beast just do such a good job to basically 2v3 the back end there. Once Kai'Sa goes down, Wei's, you know, stuck in no man's land, doesn't have the build to pump out that much damage. More of the utility route for the Seraphine, of course. So once Shyfruit goes down, the damage is not there.
But the confidence, Jubes, more than anything, right? Just to say we were 50-50. It almost felt to me like the only way Order lost that game was from doing a 50-50 flip on a Baron or an objective like the Dragon.
Hook.
Regardless, though, we're going to see them set themselves up for a fight once again. A two-man chum comes on through, close call to combat. Could it be enough? Shiggy falls on down first of all, but Chungy untouched. Chungy popping off, Shyfruit jumps into the back line, and as soon as he takes out one, that's Maximize, and that's Chungy straight onto your head. There's a double kill for the Karthus once again. Liandry's putting in a ton of work right now, and how do you stop this Aatrox?
You can't stop the Aatrox, you can't stop the Vayne. And I mean, if you do, then even the Tristan is strong. So Order are just absolutely huge in this game. At 24 minutes, Ocean Soul, 9k gold lead, Baron buff. Wouldn't be surprised if they even opt in for the end tier. They decide to play it safe, the smart thing to do.
Yeah, not going to take any risks in this one. Despite going for the 50-50 on the Baron, they've decided to show a little bit of restraint after and not risk this one at all. So mid inhibitor falls on down. Going to get themselves one more empowered recall with 20 seconds left on that Baron. One more shot and a chance to end it all.
Wonder if Order are just going to play for the Elder Drake, you know? Sometimes, Skimmy, when you work very hard to get the soul point, it's like a fine wine, right? It just ages and ages and ages, and then you want to take the Elder Drake, right? You don't want to just end empty.
Want a little bit of a cheese with your wine, you know? You want to complete the meal?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
A nice
Elder
feed.
Drake can just be the icing on the cake.
I like that.
But it also could just be the flip you don't need to. I'm sure they don't need the Elder Drake to win this one, but time will tell.
Well,
Beats looking for the solo bolo onto next up.
look at that. The support is just bullying you out of lane. You're thinking, this is not how the script's meant to work. He's had a fantastic game, Beats has, on this Gragas.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at Puma and see how fit Puma is, right? And then you'll be talking about how well Puma's played this game, but Beats has been the one that really set up the laning phase, you know, being able to flash body slam into the condemn, but he's seen the angles, he's seen the opportunities, and he's been the one to punish it.
It's a champion that requires a steady nerve, guaranteeing that those ultimates will land and the flash body slams, as you touch on, find their mark, and they were definitely on something as they were able to find massive amounts of pressure. The fact that 22 minutes into this one, we're talking about a Carthus and a Vayne having an Ocean Soul to play for. Now they're looking for a fight to try and end all things. It's Beats who falls on down first and foremost. It's going to be the box that goes on out, maximizing the flank. Puma deleted!
Okay.
There's the shot down. Chungy running away, but brings with him Buggy, and then Buggy gets sent home packing with the buster shots. Okay. Now you have a situation where Vengeance tries to position himself accordingly to lay down the law. The lane waste! Out comes the Requiem. Boom! And two people pop. Well, that is the risk you take. When you've got champions that fight from the afterlife, they don't miss.
No, they don't miss in the afterlife, do they, Skimmy? But the fight just looks so good. And then you see the Aatrox with the Ocean Soul just stalling 3-4 members in the front line there. And there is there's only Hilka is on Seraphine. And let me tell you, she wasn't long for the world. She was one of the ones that died first. So, again, we talk about Mammoth coming back into the game, but what a clinical performance from Order. 27 minutes into the game, we're able to close this one out. And it's what we wanted to see from them, right? We wanted to see them make a statement with this game, and you have to say that's what they've done, 10k at 27 minutes.
Certainly have, Jubes, and that's going to be one of those games where you look at, and they might say, you heard from Beats before, look, you know, when we're talking about prep, not so much. When we're talking about confidence, we want to verse some of those higher caliber opponents like the Chiefs. No doubt, behind closed scenes, they'll be thinking, you know what, good job, boys. You know, that's a convincing victory with a lot of champions that we're quite comfortable on, and, you know, we'll run with that. And Mac, for me, you know, probably one of the most fun games to watch when we've got all these champions that can fight from the afterlife, because when you think it's done, there's more. It's like a second chapter.
Yeah, and that's the first time we've seen a Carthus look good as well, at least in the LCO. Every time someone else has picked it, it hasn't had that kind of impact. And we saw some great Requiems after that first initial one, I believe, which came out a little bit too late to have any influence. That was when bot lane gank came out, you know, obviously a bit of communication issues there. But there was some great team fights, which again could have turned the tide in Mammoth's favor. But unfortunately for them, Order really just playing every one of these fights to a T. And again, look, these Requiems really having some impact this game.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these fights initially look good for Mammoth, but it's the durability of the composition from Order that ultimately just win them the extended fight. You know, you look at Maximize again in these front ends here, just being so durable, and you can't miss with the Requiem, hits multiple members, does so much damage, and Puma just a little bit too good to be able to clean up this team fight. So, again, composition from Order was just, you know, it was nice, the Requiem coming on through, but Maximize was a very big component in these team fights. Every time it looked a little bit lost, he'd just say, it's okay, guys, I'm here. And you know, this is another fight. He's like, oh, I'm here, guys. Pops in, absolutely one-shots Shy for it, and goes down. So, compositionally, like we said, it's a very big order comp. This is something that we'll see from them weeks after weeks after weeks. And it's arguably one of their better compositions, right? Maximize on those bruiser tops that can do a lot of damage. As we're seeing in these team fights, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You start to think, okay, Mammoth have this team fight in the bag, and you look at Maximize and you're like, oh, it's, yeah, the Ocean Soul, and
he's just in the belly of the beast. It feels very
Yeah.
much like, you know, the Renekton game, right? Where he's jumping in 1v5. You're seeing his HP bar flicker, but not anywhere below 90%. It was a case of, you know, one auto attack, I'm back to the top. I got Gore Drinker. I'm living my best life right now. And, you know, sure, you put all your eggs into the basket, like, you know, get rid of this Vayne, kill the Tristana. Hang on a minute. Now Karthus is dead. Now we're taking Skittles. We're locked under a wall, and Maximize is like, did you forget about me? So they'll be quite happy with that one, no doubt.
Yeah, everyone really doing an exceptional job there for Order. I did see Twitch chat was saying that Order actually lost it in the draft, but it doesn't seem that way because they managed to bring it back. So what would you say is the difference maker there between the teams today?
Oh, first things first, Mac, I'd say you're in a bit of trouble if you look into Twitch chat for advice. That's the first thing.
I'm just
okay?
saying, the people are
Yeah,
yelling.
look, there's some people in Twitch chat that I see and I think, okay, man, like, you know, those guys know what they're about. Like, I see Violet in Twitch chat sometimes and I think, okay, I can get behind what he's saying, even though he's just a copy and paste lord. But for the most part, yeah, like, okay, Mammoth compositionally probably did win the draft. But you also have to consider nameplates. You have to consider what compositions suit what teams to then get the whole picture of a draft. And I think sometimes we emphasize drafts a little bit too much. But in terms of champion for champion and how they interact in this game, if they were played to a T, then you'd probably want to be on the side of Mammoth for sure.
Yeah, well, look, speaking of people that can play their champs to a T, I believe Maximize is down on the sidelines with Nat. Nat, how'd you enjoy that game? And also, are you excited to have a chit-chat with Max again?
Look, I really enjoyed it. You know, I've said it many times on the stream before, but I like a bit of an underdog. And with some of those fights, Mammoth were looking good. I mean, obviously, we had Maximize come in and just absolutely shut that one down. But it was really good. It gave me a little bit of high hopes. And then I was happy for how well Order were doing. And it's just a roller coaster. But I am joined by Maximize. Look, it was just an insane performance from you. Congratulations on that win. We were just talking about the draft with the Talad before. Walk me through from your point of view and how you guys were feeling coming out of it.
Yeah, I think they threw us a bit of a curveball in that they really pinched the jungle pool early on. You don't normally see the Hecarim and Lilia banned, so we sort of had to improvise on the fly and play a jungle champ that we sort of haven't played too much. That being said, I think Bennett is very comfortable on Karthus. Like, everyone watching probably saw that game that, like, he was basically 1v9ing every fight with one button. So I think, whilst it wasn't what we were going into expecting to play, we were happy with it nonetheless.
Oh, look, that is actually kind of shocking to me. Props to Vengeance. You'll have to let him know that he just absolutely pulled it off, coming in with the champ that you guys don't really like play with. Then I want to know more about how the laning phase was you, because we didn't really like see a lot in the top lane, but when you came into fights, you were just a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, well, the top lane matchup is basically just two, like, noodles slapping each other. Like, no one's going to really do anything. It's basically just them scaling. And, like, Aatrox will do more damage, Sion will be tankier. So it's basically whoever plays team fights better will win. Yeah, that's honestly, there's not much to it for the lane. Like, Aatrox will go up CS. I went up like 30 CS, I think, but that's all really.
Alrighty, I do want to also know then about when you guys had Baron and Soldrake as well, you guys didn't go for the end. Walk me through why you didn't do that, because it felt like you could have ended right there.
Yeah, it's one of those decisions where it's sort of like better safe than sorry. I mean, it's like we could have ended, yeah, probably. In review, that might be something that we go over, but realistically, like, we have Sol, we have Nash, we have such a big gold lead, like, we may as well just base and make sure that there's, like, no room for error in closing out the game.
And how do you feel about your performance as a whole? And does the win at all give you confidence about, like, how you guys are coming back as a team?
No, I mean, like, if you don't win to Mammoth, like, what are you doing? So it's sort of just like you rock up and play. Honestly, like, even though I went deathless and my KDA was pretty good, I don't think I did that much this game, to be honest. Like, I think it was honestly just my team, and then I'm coming in here as Aatrox, like, 3 items, Ocean Soul. I'm like literally unkillable. It's harder for me to die than it is for me to not die. So I think that like everyone's playing pretty well. I think tomorrow will be the real test against Chiefs. So this was sort of just like an expected dub.
Alrighty, well, I'll let you go and I'll let you guys get ready for your game tomorrow with Chiefs. Good luck with that one and congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Relatively humble as always there, Maximise. So, you know, yeah, just another win. We expected this one. And
If you don't
we
win
got
that one, then what are you doing?
It's really what it came down to. But look, speaking of things that it comes down to, we got another game. And to get there, we need to go to a break. So it is going to be Pete taking on Chiefs after this one. Don't go too far because it's going to be a banger.
Has to use Buster Shot. He's going to hold on to it as long as possible. Flashing. Just not enough. Shyfra gets the assassination there with the killer instinct.
Mammoth.
Finds one, finds two. This is a fight that's actually working in Mammoth's favor. Forget the dragon. We'll just get the kills instead. Here comes the retribution. That is the no kill secure, and Baron is there. Now a 5v5 will take place. What can they do with this one? Is the power enough to guarantee that gold lead, XP lead, and Baron buff all on top of things?
Scion
can
Corpse.
get them those kills. Scion punching on, but it's a shutdown across. Out comes a Requiem. The man's still alive, but only by a thread. And as he falls on down, it's all about these AD